Lads, welcome back to the Kosi Arsenal podcast. My name is Kosi. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. Newcastle are fearful that Alexander Isak will leave them sooner or later. Now, I can confirm that Arsenal have already made Alexander Isak their primary target and their priority for 2025. And when I say 2025, it means January, but also it means in the summer. If Arsenal cannot do the deal in January, they will be patient. They will wait until the summer when they can get Alexander Isak. What is the problem, and why is Alexander Isak a guy that was very, very strong on his position, that he wants to be at Newcastle, he wants to continue at Newcastle? What is happening? Why is Newcastle scared? Why are they becoming paranoid about his future at the club? This is what is going on. So Alexander Isak has always wanted to play in the UEFA Champions League. It's been a big dream for the player, and I think he's a top player. When you have top players, and Newcastle know this, when you have top players, I mean Guimaraes, I mean Isak, Steven Botman, and a couple of other players that are wanted by clubs like Arsenal, AC Milan, Real Madrid. You've got to have at least Champions League football as a minimum requirement to keep them in your side. And that is where the problem is. So Alexander Isak knows how much Arsenal want him. He knows that clubs like Man City and Manchester United are very much interested. And he doesn't want to stay at a club that doesn't have UEFA Champions League football. Now, of course, this puts Newcastle in a very, very dangerous position and in a very precarious situation. Do they sell in January or do they sell in the summer? We are going to talk about that, okay? I think January is a difficult time. I think all clubs usually don't prefer to sell in January, and I understand why. Like, most of the time, you better not sell in January. Like, you don't want to sell in January. Alexander Isak to Arsenal is real now, guys. It's a real possibility, right? January or the summer, I'm just saying this to be on public record. Alexander Isak to Arsenal is now a big possibility. I mean, think about it. Arsenal really wanted a striker in the summer. And Benjamin Sesko, for all the wrong reasons that I don't know of, by the way, was about to become our striker. And thank goodness that Benjamin Sesko did not become an Arsenal player, because I would have lost my mind. I would have lost my head, right? So Sesko doesn't become the striker. We had two very clear options next. That was Victor Osimhen, who, by the way, is still available. Osimhen, I need to write that down. We had Osimhen available in the summer, and then we had Gyökeres available in the summer, who again is still available. But Mikel Arteta fancies none of them. He wants nothing to do with any of them. His interest is in Alexander Isak. And now we're hearing that Alexander Isak is very open to a move higher up than Newcastle, but also a club that has UEFA Champions League football. I remember saying this like 2 years ago. Arsenal going back to the UEFA Champions League, that is the best thing that has ever happened to this club in the post-Wenger era. Because apart from the UEFA Champions League, yes, we've won the FA Cup and maybe the Carabao, no, not the Carabao, but the Community Shield, right? But UEFA Champions League qualification is the best thing that has happened to Arsenal in the post-Wenger era. We can attract good players, quality players. We can keep good players, quality players in our squad. Now we can go and get the big names from our rivals. Now, I don't know if Newcastle really are Arsenal's rivals or they're just a club that we compete with in the Premier League. I'll leave that up to you. But my point is, when you think about Arsenal, when you think about us right now, what comes to your mind? what comes to your mind is Arsenal are a big club that are a UEFA Champions League regular qualifier. They will be there, right? And that's why we are getting, a much better, advantage for Isak now than we did in 2022 when we tried to sign him alongside Dusan Vlahovic, you remember, in January. Now, what are the odds that this happens in January? Mikel Arteta has already said that if there is something unbelievable in January and the club are willing to do it, they will sign the player. So the player has to be unbelievable and the club have to be willing to go and do the deal. Now, I don't know what Mikel means by unbelievable, but I believe Arsenal do not have anyone like Isak. Honestly. Like, with Matthias Cunha, I can say, Mikel Arteta can look into his squad and say, I have someone like Matthias Cunha, but you don't have anyone like Isak. You don't have a guy that is as talented, brilliant, positive, good goal scorer, clinical, like Alexander Isak. And with Isak, Mikel Arteta is hitting two birds with a single stone. Actually, he's hitting more than two birds with a single stone. One, you have a tall guy that can be used as, a board for long balls. So in terms of going direct, Isak is good. And then you have this guy that is super talented, can play anywhere on that front line. Then you have this guy that is super talented. He can play as a false nine. Like, you can use Isak for anything. So January is difficult. Again, if you're Newcastle, you're looking, when do I get the most amount of money? Because keeping Isak might not be in their best interest. They will want to keep him, one of their best players in the squad, but it might not be in their best interest. So when do they get the most amount of money? January or in the summer? Now, Arsenal are desperate for an attacker. If Newcastle are saying, hey, 100 million, and the Kroenkes are saying, we've got 100 million, then it's a deal that could happen in January. But like the Athletic have reported, Arsenal are fearful that they might have to overpay to get an attacker in January. And it's not might, it is have to. We will have to overpay in order for us to get an attacker in January. If it's Cunha is like 40 million, right? But you're going to have to pay 50 to get him in January. If it's Isak, you could have got him for 80 in the summer, but we might have to pay 100 to get him in January. Now, for me, for a player who already wants to move to a UEFA Champions League club, right? I really think that it is only sensible, right? I think that's only sensible and wise, right? That we eventually wait until the summer. Because in the summer, we shall have options, but also in the summer, Newcastle can replace Isak very well, right? So I think it's a much better deal to deal with in the summer rather than in January, but you never know. Let's try in January. If it comes around, it's a good deal. I mean, who doesn't want to sign Alexander Isak in January? Who doesn't want to add Alexander Isak to their ranks in January? So if it comes around in January, go ahead and do it. But it's one for the summer. If it's one for the summer, then I don't have a problem with it. Like, personally, I really, really don't have a problem with it. Is Isak the best 9 option? No. Is Isak the 9 option that Mikel Arteta wants? Yes. And I think we've got nothing to do about it. He's the striker that Arteta wants. Your Gyökeres, not wanted. Or these other number 9s that we are all flaunting, Mikel Arteta does want them. So if it's Isak and he's the one he wants, and Isak is available, so be it.